And now we're about to explore the world of media with Kylie Martin. She's a dedicated storyteller who works at the intersection of film and marketing, specializing in video editing and visual narrative design. She is a driven leader who thrives behind the scenes in post-production, approaching visuals from both a creative and analytical perspective. As both a creator and a fan of content, she designs her work with the audience in mind first, using innovative practices to amplify the connection and emotion audiences experience through media. Kylie explores the growing influence of fan edits and how they function as modern-day advertisements within digital culture. On short-form platforms where fandom culture thrives, she delves into how music-driven visual storytelling has tuned editors into powerful and often unrecognized promoters of media, not just for existing fans, but for the audience who will discover it next. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Kylie to the stage and her talk, Fan Edits Are the Future of Marketing.
Hi, everyone. Raise your hand if you've ever watched a movie trailer before. Okay. Now, I want you to keep your hand up if that trailer actually made you want to go see the movie. Okay, you can put your hands down now. Trailers are considered one of the most familiar marketing tools that we have for entertainment. They're polished and intentionally constructed to introduce you, the audience, to a story. But now, I want you to think about the last time you were scrolling on an app like TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, and you saw a short video about some piece of media, movie, a TV show, something that made you stop and think, wait, I should go watch that. It probably wasn't called a trailer, and it probably didn't come directly from a studio, but it worked the same way for you, didn't it? My name is Kylie Martin. I'm a senior here at Syracuse University studying film, and let me introduce you to the world of fan edits. So, for anyone unfamiliar, fan edits are when people recut existing media and add music to reinterpret the story into something new and more personal. But it's important to understand that fan edits didn't just suddenly appear. Like most things in the world of video, fan edits were born on YouTube. While the community had been thriving for years, 2015 was when I stumbled upon my first, and I fell in headfirst. There was such a variety of content, and it was all so engaging. I actually even watched the edits more than I watched the media that they originated from themselves. But once we moved from desktops to our phones, the community here found a new playground. Vine. I know, ancient, right? Editors followed pretty much the same format that you see on YouTube, except now they had to condense everything that they wanted to say into just 6 seconds. That constraint forced people to be much more creative with much less time, which is exactly what birthed the blueprint for short-form media that we see today. Then Vine died, and everyone flocked to Instagram, which felt like the perfect combination of everything that made both Vine and YouTube great. Here, we really started to see people experiment with what editing could actually be, experimenting with transitions, typography, audios, and for the first time, we actually saw communities built around the culture of editing themselves. Then 2020 happened. During the pandemic, everything shifted. We weren't just online more, we lived there. Suddenly, we had nothing but time, and these online communities became central to how people socialized. It created a massive shift in consumer behavior to look more what connected us to other people. Editing culture exploded here, especially on TikTok. And that's also personally when I started editing. Like a lot of people, it became a creative outlet for me. I would watch something I love, and then instead of just moving on and watching something else, I would create something from it. I loved the media, and I loved the actual practice of video editing, so it just felt like the most natural thing in the world to combine the two. But more than that, for a year where I was stuck inside with no one to really talk to and nothing to do, these communities gave me something to look forward to every single day. And then I realized my edits were giving other people that same exact feeling. We were all just fans who wanted to celebrate the stories that we loved. And if that meant making more content ourselves, that's exactly what we did. With more content came more fans, and soon the edits started reaching people who had never even heard of what I was watching for. But that little slice people saw piqued their interest. and my edits actually became a discovery tool for people who had never even heard of the fandom to get into it. Then by around 2022, I would say editing really started to move into the mainstream. Suddenly, specific styles, like velocity editing, were taking over everyone's For You pages with how well it conveyed visual rhythm. It was almost hypnotic. You couldn't look away. And as the years have gone on, editing has become more technical, more sophisticated, and honestly more impressive. Sometimes I see an edit so good that I can't even imagine how I'm seeing something so high quality for free. And now, in 2026, they're everywhere. If you can think of a fandom, it probably has editors. And even aside from fandoms, we've gotten to the point now where edits can be of quite literally anything. And it's become so much bigger than just videos we mindlessly watch and scroll through. People started having edit nights dedicated to just watching their favorite edits screen mirrored onto their TVs. You go to a concert and people are playing them in sync with the music they were there to watch and the artist that's singing it. They're even playing edits at the club now, like it's everywhere. What used to be such a niche fan activity is now a shared experience and one of the core parts of how a lot of people engage with media today. Think of a fandom like a solar system. The media, so the show, the game, the movie, it's the sun. Orbiting around it are all of the other elements of fan culture, like fan fiction, fan art, and cosplay. But fan editing sits in a Goldilocks zone. It thrives perfectly within the fandom, but it's positioned just right to reach the outside world. It's what we call passive discovery. A person who's never heard of Stranger Things isn't going to read a 50,000-word fan fiction about it. But they'll probably watch a 15-second edit that has their favorite song in it and looks cool. They're really the only fan product that has this ability because it requires zero effort from the stranger just scrolling by. And the timing edits have her just right, too. Sitting at about 15 to 30 seconds, it is long enough to tell a meaningful story, but short enough where the audience doesn't feel like their time is being stolen from them. And this is very important in a time where the bulk of consumers have fragmented attention spans. Everyone's competing for the same eyes and the precious time of the audience. So the faster you can get your message across, the better. And edits just do it masterfully in a way that's not only flashy and creative, but it shows people stories that they haven't seen, exactly like a trailer would. But the key difference here is who actually makes them. Trailers are made by studios designed to sell you something. Edits are made by fans to share something. And that difference really, really matters because edits come from the community, and they carry a level of trust that studios just can't replicate, which gives them massive power to drive unprecedented attention to audiences with completely new stories. Take one of the most culturally relevant shows of the last year, for example, Heated Rivalry. How many of you have seen an edit of the show? Okay, or better yet, who actually started watching the show because of an edit? Fan editors are a very big reason of how the show gained as much traction as it did. It shows that our enthusiasm for media can actually be leveraged, because why just react to what you consume when you could be the one deciding what everyone's watching in the first place? Beyond just promoting new releases, edits can provide decade-old shows and movies through just pure nostalgia. Especially with Gen Z, our identity is tied to the things that we love, the movies and shows from our childhood that basically shaped our personalities. A single well-crafted edit can make an old franchise instantly relevant again, proving that older media is highly marketable, sometimes even more so than brand new projects because of that deep emotional connection that the audiences have with the piece of media. And we can't talk about edits without talking about music. Editors don't just pick a song randomly. It's almost intuitive. A lot of them will hear a song and instantly think of an edit in their head. There's a seamless blend of two things that audiences love: film and music. And when together, they're a powerful relationship. According to a report from TikTok and Illuminate, roughly 84% of songs that have entered the Billboard Top 100 in 2025 first went viral on TikTok, oftentimes through it playing in an edit. We've reached the point where edits are literally shaping what the world listens to. And the beauty in all of this is that they introduce new audiences to both the artist's music and the piece of media at the exact same time, regardless of when either were released. It's in these exact moments that editing stops being just a hobby, and it turns into one of the most powerful forms of indirect marketing. And this is applicable to movies too. Nearly half of TikTok users have discovered new movies on the platform before a traditional trailer ever even crossed their screen. And roughly a third of those people actually went out and bought a ticket or streamed it because of what they saw. It's clear the discovery process has changed. Marketing no longer dictates what the audiences consume. The audience dictates what becomes marketing. What's perhaps most fascinating about all of this is that the people driving this kind of marketing aren't even trying to sell you anything. Most editors are Gen Z. We grew up with the internet at our fingertips, so we're naturally hyper-aware of what drives online behavior. And even though most of us aren't thinking about edits or thinking about marketing when making an edit, that's exactly what's happening. We're generating exposure, often at a scale that studios spend millions of dollars trying to recreate, but for free. And now the studios are starting to take notice. What was once a small subsection of internet culture is now getting people jobs. Editors are being scouted by companies like HBO, and even brought onto marketing teams dedicated to making TikTok content, like the one Lionsgate has. The corporations are finally beginning to understand something that they've historically struggled with. They understand the data of our audiences, but that doesn't amount to much if they don't realize that knowing who is watching is nothing compared to knowing why they actually care. So as fan spaces grow and studios start to insert themselves more and more, we have to acknowledge the bigger picture here. The platforms themselves. These apps aren't just neutral places for us to share art or our opinions. They have all of our data. And studios utilize these algorithms to spoon-feed you exactly what they think will keep your eyes glued to the screen. There's a very real fear that if big studios completely take over and start making their own edits, they'll remove the culture and strip away the very thing that made it special. But there's a reason that hasn't happened yet. Authenticity can't be bought. Studios can't just manufacture viral edits. Trust me, they've tried. The velocity edits I was telling you about earlier is a format that companies frequently use, but it lacks something that a lot of older editors speak to frequently: artistry. There's nothing wrong with the style, but without a creative narrative, they're just showcasing content in a vertical format that's conducive to reaching people. And they can spot that. When something feels forced, overly corporate, or AI-generated, if we don't like it, we just scroll past it. This is why genuine, creative edits continue to outperform studio-made imitations. And it represents a fundamental shift here in the industry right now. For the first time, rather than just being spoon-fed what's brand new, the audience, you guys, have the leverage to decide what actually matters to you. And the best part is, the power is open to everybody. Editing is one of the most accessible creative outlets that we have today. If you have a phone, a free video editing software, and an idea, you can start. To a generation raised on screens, media is our language. It's how we take the stories we love and make them mean something for other people. And when thousands of people speak that language together, it becomes a catalyst for real-world change. Some of the most interesting and powerful stories of our decade have always come from the voices that society has historically overlooked. People want to hear and see stories that actually reflect the world that they live in. And by consuming and liking and sharing, the audience pushes these stories into the spotlight. It proves that our attention is more than just a metric. It's the most powerful currency that we have. And studios know this. They're sitting on massive libraries of IP that could create a perpetual feedback loop where audiences are constantly rediscovering their stories. But if they want that organic growth, studios shouldn't be competing with us. They should be hiring more of us. Because at the end of the day, they need the community more than the community needs the industry. Caring about a story gives you a voice, but creating for it actually can enact change. So, if you care about something enough, start editing. Because the next major show, movie, or cultural phenomenon, I guarantee you, will not become viral from solely some corporate strategy. It'll probably start with an edit made by somebody who just cared enough to share their vision with the world. Thank you.